Do you love yourself? Think about it. Do you really love yourself? Do you love yourself the same way when you're successful as much as when you make mistakes? Do you love yourself when you look in the mirror or you look in pictures? Um, do you look at yourself the same way when you face setbacks and have to start over? For me, I can answer no to some of these questions. Sometimes when I look at the way I look, I am very unhappy. I don't like the way my eyes look. I don't like the way my body looks. But I don't think I'm alone in this. Like many people, like you guys and myself, we all have insecurities. And though often easily overlooked and passed as a joke, self-deprecation is real and it is a valid struggle that if not all, then most people face. By practicing self-care and compassion, you can be free from various stresses and various problems that can weigh you down. So where do you find your self-worth? Many people seek self-worth from outward factors such as grades, social standing, or comparison with others. First, let's look at comparison. So in a study from University of Texas, researcher Kristen Neff shows that when our self-worth depends on outcompeting others, we actually become more anxious and insecure. If we fail, we become highly self-critical, and this adds on to our misery. And comparison fosters disconnection between people, and it also makes us feel as if we're lacking or missing out on something, and we begin to view others as obstacles to overcome rather than feel included and as a part with everyone else. Psychologist Dr. Emanuel also says that when we compare ourselves, in today's generation, we often look at social media and social feeds. So social feeds can become fuel for negative feelings that we have about ourselves. It only amplifies our worst insecurities, our worst fears. We struggle with self-doubt as we read into our peers' posts, and we feel like we're missing out on something that other people might have and we might not have. Though the primary goal of our desire for success is to be loved and to be belonged, it's ironic that the actions that we take only bring opposite effects. And so for social media, it's important to understand that these are edited versions of people's life. You only see the bright, the good parts of it, and oftentimes when people post things, you wouldn't want to put anything that's like dark or gritty, right? And so it's important to understand that not only are these pictures edited with filters, but they're edited in the sense that they're only taking portions out of people's lives. And so scrolling through hours and hours of pictures, people tend to feel that they're not good enough compared to other people, that they don't live up to other people's expectations, and this is very negative. And if you don't believe my words, then we can look at numbers, because sometimes it's more important to look at facts. So around the world, only 4% of women consider themselves beautiful. Let that sink in. How many women are in the world? A lot. So only 4% consider themselves beautiful, which sucks. In the United States, 24 million people suffer with an eating disorder as a result of insecurities. 7 out of 10 people don't believe that they're good enough. 93% of women have a cruel thought about their body every day. 50% of men are unhappy with their bodies, and in comparison with 15% in the 1990s, this is a huge increase. So, with self-compassion, we value ourselves through genuine belief that we're all deserving of equal care and love as everyone else around us. It's not validation through judging ourselves positively and others negatively. Rather, self-care is treating yourself as you would a friend. So when a friend goes through problems, there are lots of things that you can do. But you have to remember you have to treat yourself that way too. So listen with empathy and understanding. Encourage yourself and attend to your needs. Remind yourself that mistakes are normal and you have to validate your emotions. With compassion, we can be liberated from the stressful and weighty chains of self-replication. And radical self-love is about unlearning deeply ingrained beliefs about inferiority and inadequacy and replacing those with confidence and genuine appreciation for your own abilities. Loving yourself is also loving the so-called ugly bits of your life, which leaves us free to enjoy ourselves rather than worry about how we may look or how we may be perceived by other people. Loving yourself is definitely a process, but it leads to increased strength, productivity, and less stress. So first, for strength, self-compassion doesn't mean that we slack off and don't aim for success. It means that we're able to toughen up and take things seriously when need be, instead of falling into self-indulgence. As for productivity, self-love means that you view failures as ways to grow and learn rather than things to be upset about and discouraged about. It allows for peace of mind, and with this level-headedness, you can be more stable and productive in the way that you live your life. It also means having less stress, because loving yourself means that there are less things to think about in terms of validating yourself, which means you can focus on specific things that you need to get done, specific things that don't require your care about necessarily. And so it's important to know that you're loved, you're worthy, you're deserving of love and respect, and you're allowed to be loving yourself and be happy in your own skin. So imagine being able to wear what you want without feeling self-conscious, loving yourself in the mirror, being able to look at yourself without making a negative comment about yourself. There are no more self-deprecating comments coming out of your mouth, but only self-loving and appreciating ones. And so don't just think that you can do it, but actually do it. So here are a few things that you can do to grow in self-love. So the first one is give yourself opportunity for quiet time. Peace, self-reflection, whether it be hiking or going to church. Sometimes our frustration with ourselves comes from the fact that we haven't had time to process the things around us. Another thing you can do is treat yourself. For a generation with the stereotype of being self-involved, we sure do forget to take care of ourselves sometimes. So make sure that in your schedule you plan out time for you to get reacquainted with yourself, to relax, to eat ice cream, to get a massage, or even Netflix and chill by yourself. Whatever floats your boat, you can do that. A third thing you can do is repeat positive affirmations. So repeat positive affirmations every day, and even when you don't believe them. Because when you do this, you remind yourself that you're worthy, even if you might not believe it. So tell yourself that you have dignity, that you're worthy of love, that you deserve happiness. Sometimes you'll smile as you say them, and sometimes you might not believe it at all. But either way, you're ingraining these facts into your brain, and you're doing everything that you can to make sure that they have a place and stay rooted in your mind. And lastly, be gentle with yourself. Sometimes you'll screw up. Sometimes you will not love yourself. Sometimes you'll feel weak and sad and like you're not good enough, but be patient, be understanding, keep fighting, keep going. And as long as you keep going, you'll be okay. So be gentle with yourself. So self-love is an ever-changing, continual process, because you are a continual, ever-changing process. You grow every day, and your mind expands every day. You discover new ways of thinking, and your love for yourself is going to change too. Sometimes you'll be solid, you'll be happy and comfortable with where you are. Other times your self-love will be terrifyingly absent from your life. You'll prefer to stay under the covers, and you have no desire to try to put yourself out there, to do anything else but try to attempt to be a functional person until the sun goes down, and you can disappear into sleep for a few hours again. But keep in mind that there's no cure, there's no secret sauce. There's no magical way to avoid all of this, to live an easy, charmed life, where self-doubt and insecurity are absent. But there are ways to help yourself fight through the hard times, so stay strong, be patient, and love yourself.